but I don't care enough to read these 1,200, 1,100 page books. The juice is not worth the squeeze. It's not that deep. That's essentially what it is with Brandon Sanderson. It is not that deep. Okay, so I am done with Stormlight Archives by Brandon Sanderson. I'm officially calling it, I think. I've just finished The Words of Radiance. I will be doing a separate book review video about this. This video right now isn't a book review for it. This is just how I'm feeling about Stormlight Archive in general. Again, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe and consider becoming a Patreon too. Yeah, I'm done. I'm okay. It's not even that I'm done. I am done, but I'm okay. Like, it's okay to just let it rest and just let it be. And I think that's where I'm at with Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight Archive series. Let's recap what my journey's been so far, because my Brandon Sanderson videos usually get quite a bit of comments and interaction, and a few of you have agreed with my sentiments, and a few have been like, hang in there, it gets better. This is greatness, essentially. Let me strip it back. Yeah, it's 2026. It's February, beginning of February, while I'm recording this, and when this will already be published. I started my first Brandon Sanderson book, The Final Empire. So book one of Mistborn. Right here, you see got my Brandon Sanderson books. The Final Empire, Final Empire, I think I gave it like 4 stars. That was a good read. Had its problems, but I enjoyed it. And then obviously with the subsequent 2 books, The Wall of Ascension and The Hero of Ages. I liked the ending of The Hero of Ages. I liked how Sanderson wrapped up the trilogy. Very smart, very clever. He does mystery. I think he does mystery better than he does fantasy, in my opinion. That might sound a bit weird, but he does mystery really, really well. And I thought it was decent. In terms of it being like a GOAT level type fantasy, I wasn't feeling it on that level, but I had its ups and downs, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, and I was like, I'm definitely reading Stormlight Archives. I definitely got other Sanderson books that I want to read, such as Warbreaker and a few others. I recently added Steelheart. I didn't know Steelheart even existed. I saw this in a charity shop, and then I was like, what's Steelheart? I've never heard of this Brandon Sanderson book. I read the blurb and I was like, okay, that actually sounds good. And if it's at that point, I'd read The Way of Kings, because I only got this like a few weeks ago. I'd already read The Way of Kings. I think I was even in the middle of The Words of Radiance. At the beginning, I should say. And I was like, okay, this sounds good. If it's kind of steering more towards Mistborn in terms of like the sort of YA writing style, and I was like, okay, I'll give it a go. I haven't read it yet, but I'm looking forward to it. In terms of Sanderson's adult fantasy, Words of Radiance, The Way of Kings, I have not been feeling it, and I won't lie. Both books have made me appreciate the Mistborn Era 1 trilogy a lot more. I actually think Mistborn is better than Stormlight Archives by quite some distance. I know some people usually have Stormlight above it, but I know a few people I've seen that have Mistborn above Stormlight, and I do get those people. I don't think either one is in like GOAT level conversations for fantasy. But yeah, what's going on with Stormlight for me? I don't care. I think it's that. Here's the thing, and let me break this down properly. A lot of the ways I can judge a book, one of the many ways I can judge a book is by how my current reading is going. And let me explain that. I tend to read 4 books at a time, and I always read 30 pages a day from each one, so 120 pages a day. And so one thing, and I know that's sort of like my good reading level, that I can keep that up and read 100 plus books a year and enjoy it and make notes in a meaningful way and do reviews and whatnot. So I know my pacing for reading, right? And here's the thing. when I have a extremely fast-paced book that I love, I'm talking Golden Sun by Pierce Brown. I'm talking The Storm of Swords by George R. R. Martin. I'm talking about just the crazy, crazy fast-paced books. I always read more than 30 pages in a day because I'm just so engrossed and it's a page turner and I'm flying through it. And there are other times when the book is so fast-paced and so engaging with me that I don't even read the other books that I've got to read, especially if I start going and I'm reading 100-page chunks at a time. Remember, I read 120 pages a day on average. If I'm reading just a 100-page chunk of just one book and I'm just so engrossed, I know I am enjoying the hell out of it, you know. And it's not just because, you know, I've just read a good chunk of the book, but also just, you know, that by itself, but also again in comparison to my usual speed. And the fact that I'm looking at my other books and I'm like, nah, I'm going to continue reading. So I can tell these things, right? This is the good part. And obviously the opposite happens in the bad part, where I don't read 30 pages a day, where I'm actually skipping over Brandon Sanderson books for other books because I don't want to read it. Because it's like, it's just dead. Like, it's not doing it for me. And I don't usually get that. That's the thing as well. The fast-paced, good books, I have a lot more of those than books that I don't want to read. I hardly ever feel this way. And I guess the few times I felt this way, and I'm telling you, I can't even, they're so few and so rare. But at the moment, my only recent memory of having this kind of feeling is for Words of Radiance and The Way of Kings. And that's not good. I didn't even have that for any of the Mistborn books. And so that's that, right? And then also you got the fact that it took me a good 2 months to get through both books. With The Way of Kings, for those who watched my review that I published for it last year, The Way of Kings was so dead that it actually slowed down my reading for all the other books. So it's not even like I was skipping it. It made it like that sort of like poisonous dark mindset of me just being like, fuck this, actually bled into the other books that I wanted to read and I was enjoying. It killed my reading. And at that point, it was the summer of last year where I started it. I was going off. I was doing like 12 books a month. Like I was in a zone. From like April to like August, according to like my Fable, I hit a zone with my reading that I've never ever done in my life. I think I might have finished 15 books in April, and like I was hitting double digits for the other months. I was loving it. Reviews are flying, everything. I hit the zone. I hit the zone. That's all I can say. I hit the zone with my reading. Loving it, right? And the books were just like anything. Like some were good, some weren't so good, right? And then Way of Kings comes, boom, slowed it to a halt. Did not want to do it, didn't want to touch anything. It was just like, And so having that feeling from a Brandon Sanderson book, especially the Stormlight Archive, that's supposed to be this like great thing, you know, it's this magnum opus. It's supposed to, people have it on their, you know, top 5 greatest fan. The fact that that book, and that is so revered on that level, had that effect on me, definitely sort of like, it left me confused. And like I said in my review of The Way of Kings, the first 600 pages were rough. I considered DNF'ing it multiple times. It was a 2-star book until the Sander launch, which is the best Sander launch I've ever read, literally added a whole star to it and pushed it from below average to above average, because that ending was sick and it made me want to really pick up the Words of Radiance. I think I picked up Words of Radiance earlier than I actually anticipated I would, because the ending of The Way of Kings was just so great. And so now I've got Words of Radiance, right? But again, The Way of Kings did kill my reading and did slow things down, and I was glad to see the end of it, to be honest. And I'm not rereading it. But now I've got The Words of Radiance and I finished it. And again, it took me 2 months, just like it did for The Way of Kings. And I won't lie, it didn't infect my reading like The Way of Kings did. But I read so many other books besides this. I ended up averaging 18 pages a day essentially, as opposed to my usual 30, because it was just like whatever. I'd read a few pages, but like, yeah, I'm okay, and read something else. I must have read, again, I think this happened with The Way of Kings as well. I think I must have read a good 20 books from the time I started it to the time I finished it. I had read 20 or so other books during that time because I didn't want to read it, like, because it was just so dead. And in terms of The Words of Radiance, it kind of differs from The Way of Kings because I never once felt like I wanted to DNF The Words of Radiance, I won't lie. In terms of, this is part 2, but part 1 was actually very good. It got off to a very, very strong start. And then we hit the fucking interludes, these bloody interludes. I did not care. As soon as we hit the first interlude, essentially, like, we were riding high. TLDR for The Words of Radiance book review. We were riding high for part 1 until we hit the first interlude, and then downhill. And I was like, yeah, fuck this. Like, this is just not it. And so now that I finished this, and I have Oathbringer, and I'm not sure I want to read it. And I think it's got to the point now. I've reached this point with several books. The most prominent being Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, where I DNF'd it, and then I didn't care enough to finish the book, but I cared enough to look online to see what actually happened. And I think that's where I'm at with Brown and Sanderson and the Stormlight Archive series. I like the characters, I like where it's going, I like the lore and the history, but I don't care enough to read these 1,200, 1,100 page books. The juice is not worth the squeeze. It's not that deep. That's essentially what it is with Brandon Sanderson. It is not that deep. And so I think I've reached a point with this where I'm just gonna read summaries online about the following books. And I'll watch spoiler reviews for the following books because I just like to watch book content, and I don't think I'm gonna read them. I did have, if you've seen my earlier videos, I did have the mass paperback editions of this, but the reading experience with that being so big and so compact was horrible, so I sold it. And then I bought I guess the standard paperback version, and I think I might sell that as well. I think I might end up selling this too. Again, I made profit on the mass paperback versions, and I think I could make profit on these ones too, because I won't lie, it's kind of tricky for some reason. Not sure why. Maybe it's just an online thing, and maybe in real life, in like physical bookstores, it's not tricky. But to get the part 1s and the part 2s, it took quite a bit of work on my end to actually even get these. I was a bit too trigger happy to like I guess replenish my mass paperback version with the standard paperback version. Maybe I should have just chilled and waited and just bought Words of Radiance and not buy Oathbringer all the Way of Kings, but it is what it is. Again, it's kind of like the juice isn't worth the squeeze. I don't want to read Oathbringer. My TBR is 1,100 books long. I am literally bursting at the seams with my bookshelves. I need a new bookshelf. I need a new bookshelf like this one, but for that bookshelf that's kind of outshot, that is very much outshot. And there's just so many other books I want to read. I'm okay with Sanderson, and I don't think I'm going to get to Warbreaker or Steelheart this year. It'll be 2027, 2028. I won't lie, obviously Brandon Sanderson did the partnership with Apple for the Cosmere, and I think the Mistborn films are going to be great. I'm not quite sure about the Stormlight Archive TV shows. I think they will be good. Again, it's being touted as the next Game of Thrones, essentially. You can see why. I will be watching those, and maybe, I mean, it's going to be years till those are even remotely ready to be, put on screen. But maybe if I still have these copies, it'll make me appreciate this may even more. Maybe I might want to read the rest. I'm not sure. At the moment, I'm just not convinced. I just don't care. It's not that deep. But yeah, that's where I'm at. I think I'm done. I think I'm done. There's much better things to read out there. But yeah, anyway, guys, let me know. I know it depends if this really gets traction. I know the comments are gonna be crazy, but I'm ready for them. We'll have a conversation down below. And guys, please consider becoming a Patreon. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, thank you for watching and thank you for listening.